Sorry, I don't know what I said lumens. Lummens, lumens. And so that's your light. Bump up your light. Anyway, Lily is here again. So let's have a big hand for Lily.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. That was a hell of an election, wasn't it? Yay. Well, yay.
Let's not
talk. It really was. It was awesome. Robin, thank you for sound. And can you all hear me okay?
Very good.
All right, great. I want to talk a little bit today. Several weeks ago, I was scrolling through my Facebook like I like to do, and one of my favorite people in the whole world is a woman named Amy Steinberg. She's a wonderful songwriter and musician who lives in North Carolina right now. And she posted something about keeping your eyes open for the wonder. And so I said that was going to be my talk, and it could have changed. You know, as of last week, it definitely could have changed, but it didn't, because it's true for everything. I would think that in this room, after last week, that there is some despair, and perhaps there's some quiet celebrating. And perhaps, like me, mostly it was just shock and awe, really, at thinking that so many people in the country think so differently than I do. Right? I mean, for the last 8 years, we've been sitting at the cool kids table.
Sorta.
Sort of. And so now we're not. For many of us. For some of us, maybe we have just arrived at the cool kids table. And so all of that is just, I just find it very interesting. Does anybody remember when Richard Nixon was elected? How about Lyndon Baines Johnson? Or Gerald Ford? Or either of the Bush boys? See, a lot of us were there during that time. We know this. This is not unfamiliar to us. It's a little shocking, but it is not unfamiliar. And so a lot of people are posting and they're tweeting and generally speaking like this is the end of the world as we know it. And there are those also who believe that since we gave a certain person a lot of attention, they prevailed. And that it's all an illusion anyway. For me, I call that spiritual bypassing. And that's good too. I understand the law of attraction. And I understand the beauty of metamorphosis, a full breakdown of one form to create another.
Yes.
I understand that as well. Today, I want to delve a little bit with you into the book of Revelation. This is the last book in the Bible, and for the most part, it speaks about the end of days. It's a beautiful, amazing read, by the way. For those of you like me that really like The Hobbit and Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff, Revelation is very much like that. It's full of fantastical creatures and dragons and visions, all kinds of things. And it's really an amazing read. If you haven't read it, it's pretty cool. And it does speak of the end of times. Revelation was written, actually, in an effort to encourage hard-pressed Christians to hold steady to their faith. Because what was happening? Their leader had been crucified, killed. They were being persecuted. Christians were being hunted down and persecuted at this time, killed, or worse, because of their belief, because of who they were. Now, these days we may have it in our minds, some kind of idea about us versus them when we're thinking about people who are in a fundamental type of Christianity. But those folks, at one point, way back when, they were running for their lives as well. And Revelations was written to try to encourage them to know, to hold strong to what they knew to be true, and that it was going to be okay. It can be regarded as symbolic presentations of the trials and difficulties that we encounter in our journey from human consciousness to spiritual consciousness, or to see the wonder in this beautiful mess. Yes?
Yeah.
You guys with me? Okay. Let me read a little bit. Revelation 12, 1 through 4. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Isn't that beautiful? And she was with child, giving birth, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and a bad comb over, and 7 crowns upon his head. Now this dragon was also known as the great beast, later given the title Satan, was to devour the baby as soon as the baby was born. What a story! Could be on HBO. And so the woman, was devour the baby as soon as it was born. The baby was to rule the nations with a fairly heavy hand. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Okay. God, according to the story, reached from her throne and pulled the baby out of there and sent the mother, the vision of the woman, into the wilderness where she was kept safe for over 1,000 days. Now, it's so interesting to me, all the numerology and the symbology of this. And then what happened was the Archangel Michael came. Then the Archangel Michael came and he fought the beast. And the beast had taken 1/3 of the stars and flung them down onto the earth. And there was this huge fight. And Michael and all the angels were fighting the great beast. And they flung the beast from the sky. Pretty cool. I mean, it could be a game, right? A video game. What a story. A strong woman. A great beast. Awesome. Let's take a little look at the metaphysical meaning of this. First of all, divine revelation is a lot more common than we think it is. The Spirit of truth is revealing hidden wisdom to thousands on every hand of life. Poets, we just said Leonard Cohen. I heard this morning that Leon Russell has made his transition, another wonderful poet. Poets and writers of truth are being inspired right now. They are being inspired right now by the events that are happening in this country and in this world right this minute. Bob Dylan wrote a lot of his poetry during the Nixon and LBJ Vietnam War years. And interesting, between Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, they were great friends. And it was interesting because Bob Dylan wrote Blowin' with the Wind in about 15 minutes. It took Leonard Cohen 5 years to write the Hallelujah. So they were two different, completely different kinds of poets, but both full of wonder and surprise, and both moving through what was considered disaster to find the wonder in their words and in their music. Quiet citizens of every walk of life are recipients of the divine word. Every person who opens up to divine guidance is being taught right now by the wonder of this great shift in human consciousness. Now, all of that speaks of pretty good news. That there's wonder in all of this. Okay, so first let's talk about the woman. The great mother goddess, birthed of heaven and earth. She's not even on the planet. She's up in the sky in a higher plane of spirit, clothed in the sun. Now, we all know that the sun is so bright you can't look directly at it. She was so full of light, so full of power, that she was clothed in the sun. That's a beautiful image. She has the moon, the realm of human weight or matter, at her feet. At her feet. You know why it's at her feet? Because she commands that. She commands the higher consciousness that bathes her in light and wonder and commands it into matter of the moon, gravity at her feet. This is manifestation on earth. This holy idea is what she is birthing. Okay? Her birthing is painful. Great evolution is always painful, and yet it's not agonizing or unbearable. This is not agonizing or unbearable. It is of short duration. Everything is temporary, and it resolves into the most rewarding of all human accomplishments, a brand new birth. Yes? Okay, good. I'm glad you're still with me. All right. Because I know this gets a little woo out there. All right. Or becoming a better human being. That's very logical. The 12 stars of her crown have a lot of different meanings. I mean, the number 12 is mentioned in the Bible dozens of times. Oh, thank you. I was hoping somebody would get that. 12 tribes. 12 disciples, 12 gemstone layers in the city of heaven, 12 steps, 12 traditions, and in this instance, the 12 ideas planted in the soul of humans. They are faith, strength, judgment, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, which means, yes, getting rid of that which does not serve us, and the conservation of life. The beast is evil, terror, sin, and negativity that comes out of fear and must eventually go back into ineffectiveness or perdition. It is the energy generated by our minds that gives temporary, I say temporary, form to evil for a time. And this is not permanent. Y'all got that? This is not permanent. Therefore, even when negativity is formed into temporary existence, it is part of the process that will take it back into the nothingness from which it came. Yes? Archangel Michael is this idea. I mean, we love to think that we know what Archangel Michael looks like, just like we think we know what God looks like. Truly not. The only reason that angels have wings is because we can't fly. And so here's the Archangel Michael. I love this. Archangel Michael is an idea of warrior light that battles these ideas of fear and darkness and flings them down into nothingness. And it is very important to remember that through all of this, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with what takes place in our consciousness. That's it. It isn't hard. This is not rocket science, folks. This is our consciousness we're talking about. I think we're moving to a great universal shift. I mean, we've been talking about the shift for years, right? I mean, anybody else had a t-shirt that says shift happens? Okay, so we're moving in this universal shift, and I believe that what has happened is making that shift happen quicker, because it's creating all this energy, right? Okay. And in this election, we are reminded of the spiritual, mental, and physical work we must do to birth a higher idea. The old ways are giving way to a new birth. And the results of this election are calling us to become warriors of peace and equality. I'm having fun. Hope you are too. It was not Hillary's time to break that glass ceiling. Dang, she hit her head hard against it, didn't she? She cracked it.
Yeah.
But maybe it was not her time. Or maybe she was not the one to break it. But it could be Kamala's, or Maisie, or Tammy, or Catherine, or Michelle. These are all women that have been elected to the Senate and the Congress. Women of color, women of strength, young women. Maisie's been there for a little while, but the rest of them are pretty new. And they are giving birth to a new paradigm. We don't have the plan, guys, but we certainly can move our own consciousness and our own lives along. Jesus did not say, pick up your bed and meditate. Jesus said, pick up your bed and walk. Do something. If you don't like what's happening, do something. You can sit in your house and pray, and that's a beautiful thing. But to suffer the pangs of birthing a new idea, you actually have to do something, if that's what you choose to do. Canvas. Make phone calls. Talk to each other. Read. Peacefully protest. There is a lot of work to do. There's a movement that involves wearing a simple safety pin, which I have on. Those who wish to silently convey their support for marginalized groups who may feel unsafe in the current political climate simply don a safety pin. Now, you may know that your heart is in the right place, and you may know that your vibration is so high that everybody can tell that you're safe. But the truth is, if you're walking around in Trader Joe's and you're gay, you're looking around going, am I in trouble here? And honestly, we didn't quite feel safe yesterday. Did we, honey? And so to see people with this on, we were like, okay, we're okay, we're okay, let's go. So I have, it's called the safety pin movement, right? Safety pin movement. And I have a whole bunch of safety pins with me today if anybody would like one. It's really a very simple thing. I just brought a whole bunch of them. And finally, what will come again out of all of this is an amazing amount of music, and I really trust that. I know Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, Joan Baez, Judy Collins, all these wonderful singers and songwriters wrote through political unrest, wrote through political times that were challenging for them. I'm going to leave you with a song that has been going around in my head for days. Rise up. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round and you can't find the fighter. But I see it in you. So we're going to work it out and move mountains. We're going to walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times again for you. When the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and you know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I will rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I will rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again for you. All we need is hope. All we have is each other. And for that we have each other. We will rise. We will rise. We'll rise up. Rise like the day. I will rise up. In spite of the ache, I will rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times a day. We'll rise up, rise like the waves. I will rise up. In spite of the ache, I will rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times a day for you. So I'm inviting you, I'm asking you, rise up, open your eyes, and be the wonder. Namaste.